This is That One Audition with Alicia Oxy.
We were going to do this off mic, but I'm glad that we're going to do it on mic.
Okay.
Because there's nothing more interesting to see. Do you remember when we worked together, but indeed have never met?
So this would be rude if we had worked together and met, and I don't remember. So to answer your question, first of all, your last name sounds very nice in German, I have to say, Ochse.
Because it is German. You are literally the third person in my whole entire life to get it right. Oxy. Ox.
Yeah, Oxy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Ochse. Yeah. If you say Oxy, it reminds me of Pfizer or whatever the drug.
Right, exactly. Pfizer, yeah. Oxy-10, oxymoron. Well, so from one good German to another, I'm going to see if you remember this. If not, then I'm going to take us back to my conception of you and my excitement. Okay. So let's just say this. Poops at the party. I know this is 12, 13, 14 years ago.
It is Jennifer
who poops at the party.
That's correct. She did.
I want you to know that was an inside joke. I'm sure, I know, across global sensations, but my friends and I would trade that back and forth pretty much every Friday, just for shits and giggles.
Well, yeah, another good one.
Then we end up doing a fun little film called She's in Portland.
Oh, who are you in? Are you the she in Portland?
I was not the she. I was one of the she's that they found along the way to the she. The one that I was fully tatted from my neck down. I had a lip ring. I was the one that was in the hotel room that stole all their money.
Oh, maybe
they get diverted. Okay. This is after they meet you guys. So they stop in the college town. Yeah. I was so excited when you signed on. I was hoping that we would have a moment to chat so I could rave to you about how much joy you've brought me. So I need to know.
Okay.
How does a man who starts dancing, is all of this true on the intranets?
Everything on the internet, as you know, 100% of everything is accurate.
Is accurate.
Everything you read.
So you start as a dancer?
I did, actually, yes.
And then you become how does this dancer turn DJ turn, I'm just going to start vlogging characters, manifest into an acting career? Or was an acting career always the itch that you were finding a lot of different lanes to get to?
Yeah, all of the lanes I wanted to, as they say about Rome, were leading to me hopefully making some acting. And so, I started as a Schuhplattler, which is a dancer of Bavarian styles. And then the DJ of this group was showing me how to DJ. I'm going very fast. And so showing me how to DJ. So I was exploring music. And then I won what's called a hype man competition.
I read this. Okay, so a hype man competition is literally just to be the hype man for what? You're just the ultimate hype man?
Well, it was a Scion Hype Man contest, and it was in Chicago, and I entered as a hope to be like, just to be inside. It would be great to participate. And then I did not know what a hype man is, and so I think the story of my career, if we are speaking of these things, is I'm usually an idiot who doesn't know what's happening, and this is a major asset. To be an idiot, because you are not troubled. You don't know anything. You do not know what is bad or good. And so therefore it usually either you are very good or very bad in the results of luck. And I've been very lucky.
You've been very lucky, but your style of comedy is so literal. And I want to know if that was purposeful, where we started to get some momentum in your voice. A lot of people, it takes them a second, right, to figure out their voice. And with acting, truly, it's about letting your authenticity come through. And I feel like actors, it takes them years to just start letting themselves shine through in their characters or work. When did you kind of anchor into this niche of, if I play this more literal and I'm not good or bad, I don't know anything, how this becomes your brand of comedy, essentially?
I don't know what is my brand. I do not know if it is comedy. I only know I have received positive affirmations, as we all do. If something is working, it's like the cowbell on the song about oysters. You know what I know? So I just, and you are bringing this video up, Jennifer Poops at Parties. This was the reason I booked my first major film role of Pitch Perfect 2.
Well, I want to know this story. I want to honestly know the story of you're laying in a car when you did Jennifer Poops at the party. Were you literally just sitting around someday and you were like, I'm just going to throw this down? Will you walk me through the whole thing? Because also 12, 13 years ago, this is when viral was just starting to become like the thing.
Yes. This is early times. Now everyone is calling people YouTubers. This was not a phrase of this time, really. I had just, I won this Hype Man contest and realized I have to move to Hollywood. I need to this would be very fun for me to be creative. And so no one knows who I am. They think I'm insane, which is accurate, but also what is happening? Who is this person? So I thought YouTube, a nice way to share videos. Mm-hmm. And so I just began to make music videos, anything that was fun and creative, and also just thinking about your American idioms. And this one, I had roommates at this time, and I showed this pooper one, the party pooper one, before I needed to upload. I have made a promise with myself. I will share with the earth new videos every Tuesday, which I called Fluesday. And it was a time for a video. And so I showed to my roommates, is this good? And they said, no, this is not really good, but you have made a promise to your audience, so you should upload it. So I did. And this is how, again, I did not think it was good, would be good. And it has been my biggest, like, nature-bred trail to success and luck.
Okay, so then I need to know when it hits, like when it goes viral. You put it up, your friends don't think it's funny. No. Do you wake up the next morning and it has millions of views? Like, I want to know the walk through that, like, kind of viral sensation moment. And then, when does Pitch Perfect, how do these things start being like, hey, guess what? We want you.
So the video was immediately popular, but then it has had many waves and cycles. Just now, like in years later, would receive another wave and people would see it. So I've been very lucky with this video. But so this is what is told to me. Someone in the music department of Pitch Perfect 2 showed my video to the casting people and the producers of Pitch Perfect and said, look, we know you are casting a German group for this movie. Perhaps consider this idiot. And so then I received an audition because of this video. I did not know in the moment. I just received an email saying, would you like to audition for this?
Did you have an agent or manager at that time for theatrical?
No.
So this is like a cold, how did you even believe that this is actually, because Pitch Perfect, was it Sony that was behind Pitch Perfect? Who's the big studio? Universal.
No, I thought it was I thought it was a hoax. I received this email. It's like, okay, whatever. But of course, I will do anything. I will say I'm excited. And so I go to the audition. It is, I don't know the first movie very well, so I don't know what is happening. The sides I've received are for, I think, a lady person, not for me. Everyone in the audition room is a woman looking very pretty and dressed to the 12s. And then it is me wearing pajamas.
Stop.
And yeah. And so everyone was like, bring a musical instrument. So I brought my looping pedal, but it broke during the audition. So I was just freestyle rapping about nothing. And like, I didn't use the lines. I didn't understand what was happening. And so I think because it was so different, that I think this was good for me, which is usually when you are different, you are either the worst or possibly is the most interesting choice.
Right? Especially a room full of women. I have to ask, what was the impetus for choosing pajamas that day?
I was shooting something because I was very dedicated to producing fun, creative, odd things. And so I was shooting in my tent. I was living in a small tent at the time and shooting a series called German with Flula. And it was just what I was wearing on this morning to teach people German phrases and words. For example, that day was Arschgeige, which means anus violin, but it means you're an idiot.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So then instead of changing, well, also because it's your first audition, I'm sure you don't really know what to expect or even think. So you're just going to go have a silly little interview and just go about your time and day. That was it.
I could have researched. I could have read the screenplay Pitch Perfect. I could have watched the film and the DVD extras and researched Elizabeth Banks. And I could have done 5,000 things, or I do 0 of those things and just commit.
And you committed.
Yeah.
Okay. So then that ends up working. Now, I want to understand stepping onto a set of that caliber and that budget. after wanting to be an actor and you're making your own content, what did you learn that helped then the next audition? And I have another question, but I'm going to let you answer that first.
I think I've learned maybe less with more auditions and more time. I've become more confused. It is very much a magic. I think it is the equivalent when actors or teachers are like, okay, learn everything and then put it in your pocket or throw it away or all this stuff. Really, everyone is just trying to return to the place of being an idiot in the moment.
Exactly. And taking everything off of it, which I think you've done so beautifully. So I'm curious, on the day of shooting, did they kind of let you have full reign? Because they have the budget to do so. Like if this was a smaller budget comedy, they might be tighter on time. You might not be able to have as much liberty or creativity.
I think because, look, the actors already there are very funny. Rebel Wilson is very funny. Anna Kendrick is very funny. All these people are very funny and talented. Adam Devine. And it was a sequel, as you said. So I think they had some like flexibility. Elizabeth Banks proved this is funny. So now you can do more. So I improvised every scene, I improvised during every scene. We had lines, but then many of the lines in the film are lines I improvised. And many, of course, are written and great. But because we were playing so much, it was very fun for me. And not, as you know, every movie is not like this. Most are not like this.
No, most are not. Like, what a great entry point for somebody of your skill set also, who has just been creating your visualization, your imagination is so deep. That reservoir runs deep, and the juxtaposition that you create inherently creates comedy. It really truly does.
It is a shallow puddle of mud and cinnamon. So no, but yes.
Okay. Yeah. So to take us, I'm curious then, how does Alvin and the Chipmunks, because that's a voiceover audition. Was it an audition, or did they also just call and say, this particular brand of comedy, we want this voice?
So Alvin Chipmunks is a mixed action, and in this one, I was live action. But you are correct. I began getting many animated animated voice roles. And I think it's because, again, my voice is so unique. You will not hire me to impersonate President Gerald Ford, but you will hire me to play an insane, idiotic horse.
Well, you know? Okay. Well, because with acting too, a lot of people are like, come Americanize your accent. I want you to do this. I want you to be more versatile. And then you have the people that are incredible talents. Like you have Steve Buscemi. You've got certain people that have certain ways of speaking, their cadence, their dialects are what work for them. But it usually takes them longer to get in the business if they will not diversify. Was that a specific choice for you to be like, this is me, this is what is going to happen? And now people are...
well, I don't know. I did not. The choices sadly were made, not sadly, the choices are made by others. They choose you to be in these things. I can't, I'm not Kevin Costner or whoever. I cannot choose to be in Yellowstone. I have to be hopefully invited. Right. So for some reason, it worked what I was doing, but also it's different now. In my view, like you don't have to speak perfect English at all. Look at all of these comics from other countries that have accents that are massively successful. You know, it's now much more common.
Well, it works, I think, for comedy. It really, truly does. Okay, so sure. Alvin and the Chipmunks, do they also, so they just call? Here's my question. After Pitch Perfect 2, is that when UTA comes in and says, hey, that's what I wanted to, as an actor who's like, you know, prior to Pitch Perfect, you have no representation. So as they're hiring you, did casting call out on your behalf?
So as that was happening, I signed with a manager right around this time, and then also an agency right around this time. So basically all of those things happened around the same amount of time, but it was not until... You have to have something happening before you can sign with these people, I think. And I don't even, who knows, that was now 10 years ago. Everything has changed once more. And now the industry is in a very strange place. So I do not know I don't know what the rules are now.
Well, it doesn't matter. The fact is, this is the lane that you've stepped in. Now, I'm curious now, working with UTA for 10 years, taking this to a business side, Are you now coming to them with ideas of what you want to do for your career? Or are they still bringing you in opportunities? Because when you're with the bigger agencies, the CAA, the UTA, the WMEs, you're also a ticket. You're a dollar sign. So the different part of this industry that sometimes people don't understand, you might be at Paradigm and then CAA picks you up. The CAA could also offload you the next year because you only made 60 grand as an actor, not 600,000. You are a commodity. So what have you learned business wise?
Well, and I'm also with the manager, Shauna. She's great. Brillstein and now at Sugar. I'm weird saying these names out. I'm confused.
Yeah.
Normally no one speaks of these things. But it's a little both. I think it's nice to have people that are trying to connect you to other projects. But then you have to be making your own things all the time, is what I have found. I don't know what their calculations are with who to keep and who is not worth. I don't know what those things are. I can tell you sometimes my friends, they have the agents, they no longer work with them. And I think that can be a very great gift, because often with those friends or with people in general, you have illusions of people doing things for you. And then that makes you not do things. I think if you know, oh, wait, no one, I think even when you have people, you need to act like there is no one there to help you. I think that is helpful for me.
Thank you for saying that. That's what I think a lot of actors they hang their hat on wanting to get an agent and manager, right? If I get an agent and manager, then I'll get the opportunities. I love talking to somebody like you who's made the opportunities, and then you just keep making the opportunities. You haven't stopped making opportunities for yourself. You've just kind of transitioned. Your availability for your own personal stuff is a little bit more limited now because you're working for other people.
Sometimes, but look, everything is illusions. Everyone's like, wow, you can speak to someone, man, you're so busy. And the person's like, I have not worked in 8 months. Literally, I'm going crazy. I shot these 2 things 1 year ago. It seems like I'm busy. You're supposed to think I'm busy as you see my social media. But really, it is your job has to be just to make your own structure, make your own things, otherwise you will go crazy.
You will sincerely go crazy. Okay,
yes.
So I have specific jobs that I want to ask about the audition, but then I don't want to be misleading. I want to know what that one audition is. And if it doesn't poke one of the ones I'm going to poke into some of those.
Okay.
So what is that one audition? Do you have one?
It would be the Pitch Perfect 2 one that I spoke of. It was the one that really began my career. It also set a great foundation for me of like, oh yeah, you should not really care too much. Maybe a little bit, but like caring too much is insane. I personally am much better when I am loose. Yes. And this was like a great example of being loose. I already walked in like, oh, I shouldn't be here. This is the wrong audition. I'm wearing the incorrect clothes. I don't think I'm the correct look at all. I'm a dude who is 3.5 inches. Like this, none of this makes sense. They look all like they can sing beautifully. I can rap, perhaps.
Yeah.
So it was nice to it immediately removed everything from the expectations. And I just riffed now look, I have done this in other auditions. They went terrible.
And I was just going to say, now that you kind of know, you have the sauce where you're like, okay, because a lot of actors, I think, go in and they're like, I'm just going to show that I don't care. I'm just going to not care.
No.
But not caring doesn't translate, right?
No. Not caring about
the no pressure. You were in a no pressure zone. And because you were expecting not to get it. And now with UTA behind you and now opportunities, I'm sure, coming to you, it changes that dynamic.
Well, I should say this, the not caring, you should try really hard. Like I give full effort, but I don't really care if they hate it. What am I supposed to do? I can't help. Or I auditioned for a show called Grimm many years ago, which is a monster show. Grimm, something like this. My friend David Gentoli was in it. I remember I was waiting in the audition room and the person there was late. And they walked in and they were very stressed out. I could see it as they walked by and then walked into the room. I was the first person. I could see in their eyes they were in a terrible mood. Something bad had occurred. And I knew I had no chance. I had no chance. Like they were not paying attention to me at all. It was like, oh yeah, it doesn't matter. I can do whatever you want here. I can do a Siegfried and Roy impression. No one will care.
Nobody's going to care. Yeah, well,
nobody
that's
cares.
the thing too. Now with the world being self-tapes, right? You can almost still give your best performance and not be affected by the people that are coming in that may or may not be paying attention to you.
Yes, but also you don't know, they may be eating frankfurters while scrolling quickly through just silent little screenshots of your, like, we don't know. We don't know.
We don't know.
The TV and film landscape, it's constantly changing, but traditional actor training has largely remained the same.
It's focused on a theater model whose main goal is to help you stretch the expression of your instrument. That's why you can have years of training,
From scene study classes to audition classes.
to even an MFA, and still not be able to book a 2-line co-star.
That's why we created the Bridge for Actors.
A collection of tech, craft, and business online courses to teach you the skills that you need to go from a student of acting
To a working actor.
Okay, so in going from a place of not adding the pressure on yourself into working for many years, I'm so curious what your Suicide Squad audition was. Because you kind of, now who's coming to play. The budget's enormous. It's James Gunn. Like, I was so curious how this came to be and how you handled the audition, which also feels like there might be a lot of improv. And did you improv in the audition?
Another lucky connection, because James Gunn, like Elizabeth Banks, I think, depending with the person, does appreciate comedy and like riffing and trying things. And so, again, I've auditioned before and this was a disaster. I could see it in their eyes. But in this case, he was not there. But with these big hero movies, it's usually you are not totally sure what is the movie. You really don't know who is the character. You don't know for certain if the sides or the actual lines from the film. The personality of the person is clear usually in the sides. So, but it was, I just auditioned very relaxed. It was just me and one person. It was like a casting assistant. I ran it a few times. I could tell that she enjoyed it. Here's the thing. You may know this, everyone listening, if you are, sometimes you read a character, you're like, oh, I would crush this. This would be so great for me. And the 3 times from like, I would absolutely obliterate this, I have gotten those roles. But, it's rare. And this was one of those, it's like, well, I could obliterate this role. I know this guy immediately. And so it was loose. I think the very excellent actors can get into this mode. They prepare until they become this person. Sometimes you are already fit. It's like 2 Lego pieces. And that was one of them to me.
And how did you not get in the way of that? Because the pressure situation, because James wasn't in the room, you guys did it once. Yeah. What was the next? Did they bring you in or did they just use that tape?
I was cast from the tape. I can tell you the chances, as we all know, are very low with everything ever. I assume no one watches anything. They are barely paying attention. So I also just try to stay very busy. Because that way, once I completed that audition and immediately had a Chipotle bowl and worked on something else. Like I just immediately I pretend. Who cares? Because you will drive yourself to a world of insanity if you think about it too much.
Absolutely. Okay, so you get the call. You get the James Gunn one. Like that. Yes. I'm sure, because that was 2021. So now this is almost 10 years after Jennifer Poops at the Party. You're learning a lot. I want to know now, going on another big project like this, and I saw so many of the bloopers. I think I could just watch a whole entire movie of just the bloopers of your character.
Thank you. That was so fun.
It was so fun. So is it a similar situation to Pitch Perfect? Because I want to know how do you prepare before you're getting ready to go work with James Gunn, knowing that you are going to have some liberty for improv? What type of preparation are you doing character-wise so that you can go take after take after take after take and have this many? How does your brain work in preparing this?
I would say I don't think it works for every role and every actor. And I think all these directors would say this, like not every time do they want everyone to improvise. I think I had a specific...
Especially when it's ensemble, you can get lost.
Yes, I had a very specific character with a specific story he was doing, so it allowed for me to play. And I am excited if someone tells me to shut up, to stop, anything. Like, just, you can beat me, or I don't care, but I will do things until you tell me to do more or less or to stop. So in that case, I just did things. It seemed like it was working, so I continued. That doesn't always work and isn't always appropriate. If everyone's doing it, it becomes a shit show.
Completely. Well, that's why I wanted to ask about specifically that one, because you've got a lot of very experienced actors, let's say it that way, that all have some great humor behind them. I mean, you have Viola Davis in there too. Like, I know that you didn't work, but you've got so many people that if you let everybody start riffing, like you said, we'll be there forever, and it'll be a nightmare for the editor. And you have to know what story you're in. So
not everyone wants to riff. Oh, sorry, continue.
No, because exactly that. Not everybody wants to riff, right?
Well, yeah. Not every character makes sense for like Amanda Waller riffing is confusing. Peacemaker is a great person to riff. Pete Davidson's character could riff. I could, like, there's some characters, especially not to spoil the film, but it's fun to think, oh, wow, we're going to live with these guys for a while. And so it's fun. So like, oh, let's give them some things that they can play with and really give depth to these characters. Even though something happens, I don't want to spoil it. But like, Margot Robbie's not going to riff a monologue. That makes no sense. She's in the whole film. And my goal usually is to just do things to make other people really enjoy it. And when I was riffing, by the way, Alicia, it was the end. It was like my coverage. We're just pounding it out. Oh, I'll do 30 more seconds. I'll just get it all out now. Blah, blah, blah. That's it.
Well, that's what I was just getting ready to ask, is the business side of it. Like, are you asking James before you run this,
No.
Hey, okay, so your technique, which is great business sense, is when the coverage is on you, when it's the final, once you already have what is quote unquote written, then you're riffing and playing. And then that's fun to see what ends up in the camera or what ends up on the screen and what doesn't. Because you have to be a smart improviser, especially on these bigger budgets.
Yeah, you have to try. You have to play a little bit, but not too much. And it depends on the show. Curb Your Enthusiasm is a show where it's all improvised except for your start, end points, and some beats. But other things are not, like House of Cards was not like that. Game of Thrones, they're not improvising monologues about White Walkers. What?
Right? Exactly. They don't have the time or the budget. Okay.
No.
So I'm curious now with the one that you are getting. Did you already shoot The Spy? Are you currently shooting it?
Oh, yes. It's called My Spy, The Eternal City. And we have shot it. Yes.
So I want to know, because you've worked with some of these people, it seems like, before. Was this also an audition?
Yes, this was an audition. Yes.
I would love to know the process afterward.
Yeah. Well, every role from my experience is always different. The way you get, sometimes people, you have an inside track and someone knows, I think it helped, for instance, with Suicide Squad. James Gunn and Elizabeth Banks are friends. And I think it was helpful, I have worked with him. I don't know if they spoke, but I can imagine it was helpful. Yes. Or for example, I did a Pitch Perfect Bumper in Berlin series, but that's my character from Pitch Perfect. So I didn't audition for this. They just said, we are doing this show. You would be in it. My Spy was an audition where I had to do a FaceTime Zoom from Amsterdam because I was shooting a World War II biopic that will come out in November. That's a drama where I play a real German historical figure. So it was me and then Pete Siegel, who is the director, and then the casting director. And look, I didn't think that this one, I did not think went great. So I was not expecting I would book it.
Why so? Do you mind what didn't go well in your eyes?
Well, we are now, as everyone knows, we are now in this, everything is a Zoom. And I can't read energies on a Zoom at all. In a room, you can tell, oh, they are enjoying it. And this was my feeling. Even if it's just a casting director or assistant, I can see they like it. We are vibing. With a Zoom, I have no clue. So my instinct was it was fine.
And then you got the call. And then
Yes. But who knows why? Perhaps there were 5 people they called and then they were all unavailable. Like, oh, that guy was acceptable.
Acceptable. I love the downgrade. I love yes. No.
Who knows?
way more than acceptable. We don't know. That's the thing. We have no idea.
We don't know
when we get the jobs and when we don't get the jobs.
No.
Here's what I'm curious about. You know, Jennifer poops at the party, all the other vlogs that you have that are kind of going at that time. It is comedy focused, right? You are in some ways getting hired for certain jobs to come in and riff because they know that you're going to, and they're excited about it. The World War II biopic, that's switching lanes. So somebody who crafts character, somebody who's really working in the realm of comedy, how do you get the industry to allow you to switch lanes?
Yeah, it's all so silly.
It's so silly, but it really is. So I want to know how that one comes to be, or how that audition worked.
Well, I hope it's acceptable to say this, but I will drop some wonderful names. So I have a trainer, Paolo Mascetti. He's my trainer. So Suicide Squad, to go back, was very fun because it was a new adventure. I need exercise and structure in my life. So I began to like muscle workout and all of these things. And so Paolo is my trainer and still now is my trainer. We train several days a week.
Can I ask you,
Yes.
did Suicide Squad, because this is part of like understanding the business, did they give you a budget to get to a certain size? So they hire you as you are, and then they were like, okay, in 6 months, please get to, you know, Superman status?
They gave me a little bit of money. It did not cover what I needed to pay. But as with all of us, I think I don't care. I have decided I'm going to do this. So I will pay the money of myself. I will I don't care. So that in my mind, I get to be in this wonderful film with this amazing director. And I mean, it was everyone. The problem is it's difficult to negotiate when we would do these jobs for free.
Right.
Sadly. It's terrible to say, but it's true. It's like, no, you don't want the job. Another person will happily do your job. So, yeah.
I just was curious because it's good for us business-wise to understand what we can ask for in our contracts.
Well, I just thank the goodnesses we can, as if you are performing, you can write these things as tax deductions. That doesn't help really, but it does help a little bit to say, well, I don't have to. So Paolo also trains one of the executive producers of this World War II film, who also happens to work in the DC universe. So he knows me. Lars Winter, shout out. Lars is a super hardworking, amazing man, very smart, very great. And so he was speaking with Paolo. It's like, we had an actor drop out of our film, blah, blah, blah. And Paolo, I think this is the story. Paolo's like, what about Flula? So Lars was like, okay. So Lars, I didn't get the role. He's like, I didn't really think about this. So I auditioned for this role. It's written by Todd Komarnicki, who wrote Sully. Very wonderful director. Shout out, Todd. But so I received the script and the sides, and the key was I spoke with Todd on the phone before I auditioned, which is very rare to speak to, in my experience, to speak to a director before you audition for something, to get because we are forced to interpret what we think they mean based on an email that was written, and it's like you're playing the worst game of the telephonies. And so this was like, I should try this. So then I recorded, and that's what happened. And then I got the part. Yeah.
And that was that.
I auditioned.
Yeah, but you did the audition. So for you stepping into doing an audition where it is a totally different lane for you, is it hard for you not to try and find the funny? Is it hard for what is your technique then to dropping into a more dramatic role, specifically something like this that switches lanes, right? So you're not going in on your defense, resting on your skills of knowing okay, I can just take this wherever I want to.
The funniest things, the best things are real. And that doesn't matter if they are funny or if they are dramatic, who cares? I think Charles Grodin and Robert De Niro in Midnight Run is one of the best movies. It's so funny because they are real. I believe Charles Grodin is this person, and that is what is hilarious. But But the same goes for drama. It only works if it's real. So to me, the same rule is applying in both genres or whatever. So that is the game. It's just, it needs to be real.
And have you started working with coaches or other people relying on a different technique? A different character calls for different techniques all the time, or are you still crafting from your own instincts?
I've worked with many acting coaches over these years, even before I was making videos and things like this. So I think you can learn from everything. And then I also think you can have bad coaches that tell you for you a bad coach that was giving you the wrong, this advice works for me, but it won't work for you, or I'm thinking about this strategy when I should be thinking about 0 strategies in this moment. So look, the more I know, the more confusing everything can be sometimes. And so it's best, I really do agree with work hard, but then really do just forget everything and see what happens, which I know sounds bad, but whatever.
Well, no, but I mean, it all comes back to like, think about the video that you're like, is this good? I know I keep coming back to Jennifer Poops at the Party, but it was real. It felt like you were just sitting there talking about a woman, the literal sense of it, the more serious you took it. It was just absolutely hilarious trying to figure this out. And then everybody telling you that this video is going to kind of do whatever. And
nobody knows.
Nobody does know. There's no formula to this. This is why I like actually talking to people about auditions and their careers, because you have no idea when it's going to turn left, right, when it's going to make sense, if you're the right person or not.
Yeah, you have no control. Some people you can tell they are very talented. It will work. Sometimes, like I heard, this is a story of a story, but there was a guy on The Office who was a little older when he got the job, and everyone was very sad about him when he was starting to audition because he felt a little old. And then he books the biggest sitcom in the last, whatever these are, 20 years. Like nobody knows. You don't know.
Yep. We interviewed him. I interviewed him on the show, Creed Bratton. It was one of like...
Oh, it's Creed Bratton. Yeah, I don't know who it was. Yeah.
An incredible audition story. Nobody would literally see him. And then he just made it as a videotape for shits and giggles. And then ends up going on for a gazillion seasons. You just never know. You never know. You have to be doing it because you're enjoying yourself. And so then I have to ask, this might be a tough, what would you do differently if you were starting all over again? Jennifer Poops at the Party. What's your advice for your younger self starting in this career lane?
In this, well, the big question is, do you mean in 2024?
Yes. Yeah, let's modernize. Like the world is how it is right now. What
probably the same idea, which is you have to make your own things. I was eating at a Cheesecake Factory, shout out, yesterday with a friend, and someone saw me and said, "Oh, you Flula, what is your advice?" And so Dylan, shout out, hi Dylan. So I told him what I will say now, which is you have to make your own things. You have to make a lot of it. You don't know what will be good and what will be bad. But then also you have to decide what is it you're trying to do. If you are trying to like cultivate an audience, which is a new thing that did not exist really, that's a whole thing where like you need to build this audience. And that I guess is with social media, but I don't really know other than you have to create things. No one will just find you in your house and say, come be in my movie. That doesn't work. No.
What do you do now? What is your now business savvy sense since you've been doing this? Let's give you 12 years of in the business lane of this right now where they've kind of picked you and scooped you up. What have you learned to keep your business going? And do you have a strategy with your teammates, like with your agents and managers now that every year where are you trying to move the needle to? Or is it still kind of sifting through what comes your way?
I wish I had a very clear answer and I knew what is going on, but this is more industry, right? We're talking kind of to us. We are in a very strange time from everything that I can observe and what everyone I'm speaking to is observing. It's not clear what will happen. Are these streamers all going to survive? Is there a strike, another strike looming? Is this possible? After this happens, will there still be this much content? I don't know. So, my strategy is to try to work on ideas I think that are very fun or interesting to me and to actually make them and then figure out what is the distribution second. I don't know, and also do things that you are really good at, that you enjoy, hopefully. So I'm trying all kinds of things at the moment, animated ideas and a scripted film and blah, blah, blah. Social media, go ahead.
Yeah, tell me about social media. How do you feel now about social media when it has kind of been the thing that allowed you to fully step into this lane going at 55 miles an hour versus like easing your way in? What is your time limit around content creation?
How do you mean time limit?
Meaning, like, especially from a social media place, are you still creating a lot of content just for yourself? Or now are you in a production realm, like where you have a production house and you're trying to...
Yeah, I currently live in my production
office
room.
Yes, I understand.
I don't, one thing that I'm learning is that like production value doesn't matter. It doesn't need to look great at all. Our phones are good enough for social media. If it looks too good, people can tell and it's weird and it feels like something from a corporation. So, and now I've had a love and also hate thing with social media because it feels like you're a slave to this but in the recent months, I've kind of loosened up once more and then realized, oh, everything is very fleeting. People forget. I've watched, I love this creator. She uploads a video like 4 weeks ago and then uploads it again just a few weeks later and changes the text. Nobody notices. It is also successful because it's just, we get so many things. You can remind people of, like, I've shared some older vlogs these last weeks on Instagram. These people have never seen these vlogs, ones that you may have seen before.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, and probably I can share those again in 2 years. You can take the pressure off making everything on social media like original and brand new, and that you don't need to do this, but you do need to, I think, feed this monster a little bit if you're trying to grow these numbers. And I still think it matters. I still think people go to your Instagram as your number one. Hey, should we hire Blably Blurskin or whatever? They will look at Blably Blurskin's Instagram first.
So are you still releasing content like every Tuesday, like you said?
No, that was so much work and I don't have time to just, that was the time when I was receiving no job. So I had my only job. Yeah.
And now,
so no, I can't. I just can't do it. But I am going to release, look, I'm making a video game themed game show called Neon Dimension, which will be my bodiless head with a Knight Rider helmet, hosting video game throwback games produced by me, and the director brothers will have wonderful guests like Reggie Watts and Bobby Moynihan and a huge video screen. So like we have shot these will come out. So I'm trying to make things that I am paying for a little bit, and then hopefully we will receive some dollars afterwards, but you don't know. It's all a risk.
It's all risk, but I also love that like no container can hold you. We can do video games over here, live action, voice. You're using your full instrument to tell stories and to entertain. For nothing else, I just want to say you have literally entertained me for weeks on end, for decades, over a decade.
Thank you.
Between Stephanie and I, like we've shared all of your videos. Hey. Jennifer poops at the party, and I can't wait till we can actually share some time together on screen and have prompt fun in improv land. It was so exciting. I was so excited to see you, and she's in Portland. It was a great also turn for you too, because I kept wanting for you to break into this hilarious character, right? And I was like, wait, he's here. What's he? And it was such a great. It was a beautiful film. They did a beautiful job on that film.
Yeah, well, hopefully we will work together on She's in Tacoma.
Can we do that?
I would love Tacoma.
That. Coming soon.
She's moved, and now we're driving to Tacoma.
Where can everybody find you and follow along with all of your fun revival videos?
Yeah, Graham. Go to the Grams. Flula is Flula, like you have a flu in Los Angeles. Just, that's it. Yeah.
Thank you.